Welcome to Ongoing Mastery, Presenting and Speaking, the podcast and the discussion. And today, Kelly and I are talking about bringing adaptability into team culture. Hi, Kelly. How are you today?
I am well. How are you, Kirsten?
Good. So, why are we talking about adaptability? Why did this come up? What is it that you find compelling about this topic?
Well, it's a really important topic right now as workplaces are still finding their way back from what they did during the pandemic and what their new culture is going forward, how to retain some of what we gained because we were forced to change as part of the pandemic, how to be productive, how to best serve employees. And also, we are recording this on the day before you are on a panel on this very topic.
Yes. So I'm at the Central Massachusetts Conference for Women, and I'm doing a panel tomorrow called Embracing the Chaos, the Power of Adaptability with two amazing people, Jasmine Goris and Amanda Johnson. And it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. But that
Yeah.
panel is talking to individuals about their journey. So let's talk about teams. So, specifically, we're talking about adaptability as a mindset and an approach to work. So, what do you recommend
Yeah.
for how individuals and teams achieve their goals? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, to start, it has to be a corporate culture. It can't just be the responsibility of each individual, or it's not going to be particularly effective beyond that one individual, right? And so it needs to come from the top and it needs to be a systemic value, right? It's got to be in the
Yes.
budget. It's got to be part
Yes.
of folks, annual review in terms of, okay, so what skills have you been working on? How's that going? Not in a ranking, did you achieve top excellence 1 to 5, but in a more organic and nurturing. What do you need to succeed? What
Say it louder
resources
for the
can we
people in the
put in
back.
place for you?
Yes.
What
All right.
resources do you need to succeed?
There we go. So, the reason Kelly and I are passionate about this is because systemic change has to happen at an institutional and a business level. Like, we are
Yeah,
well past this being a good idea. This is absolutely mission critical.
yeah,
Companies that still see their employees as roles and people fit into the roles, but the roles are the thing, are completely missing the golden opportunity of roles are the framework around which you do the job structure, but the people you put into those roles drive how that works and how things connect and what gets done. And people are dynamic, people are
yeah,
flexible, people can be taught. So rather than forcing people into a specific mold, aim for a specific target. But let's look at the value of what you've got. Let's look at the gifts that the people you already have are bringing to it. So
yeah.
this is really about kind of employee flexibility in how you see your employees and also how employees are able to work within the structure of a workplace.
Yeah.
So, why is the change from the top, Kelly, not a nice to have feature, but actually critical?
I would say it's a putting your money where your mouth is. It's walking the walk, not talking the talk, right? If leadership is not invested, if leadership is not modeling these values, then they won't happen, or they'll happen piecemeal, or they'll happen one off, and it just won't change anything. And so, only when it's part of corporate culture, when it's part of how everybody approaches the work to do,
Yeah.
that this kind of change can happen. Culture change takes time and it takes dedicated effort. It doesn't just happen because we've decided it would be a good thing to happen.
So let's talk about the gigantic elephant in the room, everybody, which
Yeah,
is working remotely and working hybrid. I keep seeing all
sure.
these companies going, we're getting back to the office. Okay, no, you're not. You already had people in an office. The office was in a different location. They didn't stop
Yep.
working. They just were working from home. And I get the if I can't see them, they're not working thing, but that's a you issue. That's not a them issue. That's a you unable to communicate and really see where your employees are and see the productivity as the issue. You're managing their time. That's not your under your that's none of your damn business. The result of what they do is what matters and what is your wheelhouse. Honestly,
Yeah.
the flexibility that people might need, we're in a global economy, we're using global employees. A third of your staff may not be awake when you first start your day. But that
Yep.
doesn't mean that, working in a different time zone means that you can't have a fully functional relationship. But the adaptability is critical. The pandemic showed everybody this.
Yeah.
So, Kellie, what about so why don't you grab a point and take it off from here? What do you want to hit next as a subject in this?
Well, I think one of the things about changing corporate culture is building in that idea of practice that we talk about so much. That employees, as they're learning things, are gonna make mistakes, and that
Yeah.
has to be okay as part of valuing the growth and as part of it being genuine opportunities to learn, not just a hoop to jump, a box to tick, a certification to put on a wall. That's nice,
Yeah.
right? And so having as part of training culture for your employees who are learning new things, including public speaking, for which so many people have a great amount of anxiety, right?
Yep.
Giving people low stakes ways to practice, giving people a path where they get greater and greater exposure, and doing that deliberately and not just happenstance-ally.
Yeah. If you at the top are actually committed to changing sort of the culture, let's say you look at your top tier and you recognize that perhaps it could be a little more diverse in experience and culture and all the things. If you want people to be moving into those roles, you already have people who could be positioned to learn and move into that, but you need to give them paths, which means more support for learning how to speak in a boardroom, learning how to speak to
Yep.
stakeholders. Like, this is super important. Obviously, this is our work, so we're passionate about it. But ongoing mastery in skills is exactly how everybody works. The minute
Yeah.
you stop working on your skills, they start to wither. Okay. So it's just like plants. All right. You got to keep giving them water. You got to keep giving them sunlight, you know. So how does this impact collaboration? How does the new coach of adaptability we're calling for? What does that mean for collaboration and like problem solving?
It involves, I guess you're going to be surprised to learn, communication and looking for opportunities for collaboration rather than
Yeah.
having employees work in topic silos, right? In academe, cross disciplinary work is really important because people bring to a project something different from history, from philosophy, from
Yep.
social science. And the same is true in the workplace. And bringing not just a here are the difficulties, but a problem solving approach. Not this thing can't be fixed, we have to work around it, but more like, all right, well, what can we do if we could fix it any way possible? What might we do? Ah, okay, now how can we do those things? Right?
Yep.
That nimbleness, that adaptability of approach.
Yeah. If you're all, if you're every day using the word agile in your sentences, then come on, let's actually be agile. Like, really,
Yeah.
let's talk about true flexibility. How does this show up in practice? in a workplace? Well, for one, any training and development that you have is usually end of the line, not connected to business goals. It's a tick box, and they get involved after decisions have already been made.
How
So
does that work out?
so frustrating. So all L&D people end up downstream. And so for learning and development folks, you've got to learn to speak business. You've got to learn to tie what you know and care about to business goals. You've got to fight for a seat at the table. Upper level folks and business folks. Thank you, Angel. She contributes
Angel
to the
agrees.
podcast. Oops, as I mute. The thing about this is that upper level people really, you need to think in terms of that you have a training and education department that has a lot of valuable knowledge about how people learn and think. And if you want to upskill people, maybe you should pull those folks into the decision making at the upper levels and say, okay, we want to transform our business. What resources do we have in the employee pool? What resources do those employees need to be able to get to where we want the company to be? You have things you're not even looking at. Kellie,
Yeah.
what's your next point? I'll kick it back to you.
And it can't just be surface level issue of the month, rainbow washing for June Pride Month, in which every company sports the progressive pride flag and has a lunch to show our support for our LGBTQ plus staff. And then July through May 31st is the same old, same old.
Yeah.
Right? That is not adaptability in the workplace. It's icky. Don't do that.
Yeah. It's like you think you're not showing yourself, but you are. It's
Yeah.
really seriously. So the key to all of this, everything that we're talking about, comes down to communication. And it comes down to
Yeah.
being able to see what is happening in a different way. So,
Yeah.
what is a recommendation that you would make, Kellie, for making communication clearer in the business setting?
Listening.
There we go.
Actually asking people what they need and hearing the answer. Don't just assume you know. Don't just assume that what's been done in the past will continue to suffice. That employees, staff often have a really good idea of what they need, and asking might kick free some innovations that you hadn't even considered, rather than top-down imposing.
And I'm going to tie this because I've been talking about Ted Lasso forever. I'm going to tie this to the Ted Lasso approach in that in an episode, he gets a suggestion box, which mostly gets him cursed at, but he gets a few things that are actually bugging people, like the showers. And when those get fixed, people start going, wait, so the boss actually cares about our experience. If you get a note saying the vending machine is full of stuff that's gross, that's actually a sign. If you address that, you're saying to your staff, I hear you, I see you, you matter.
Yeah.
It's not, little things are not nothing. Little things are important. So, what is it that's driving people crazy? It could be as simple as, did you realize that you've got the call center folks positioned near the air conditioning?
Right.
Like, hello, and when that goes off, it's noisy and it's stressful, or cold air's blowing down the back of their necks or something. Like, get in the trenches, man. Get down there, see what's going on, boots on the ground. Let's really ask the questions. And please stop demanding that everybody comes back into the office if they don't absolutely have to. Like, if you're not doing surgery or something, there's not that many jobs that have to be in the office. Some people want to, but we're in a hybrid work world now. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
What else have you got, Kelly?
The value of systemic structural thinking, something that's
Mm,
always on my mind, that once you set your mission, once you set your goals, regularly reviewing them more often than you think. I know that,
yeah.
of course, professional workplaces review their corporate materials maybe every 5 years, but I'm thinking it needs to be more often than that, and maybe not that top level bringing the consultant professional review. But how do you know if you're headed in the right direction if you don't look at your map?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's my point for today. My takeaway is really thinking systemically, structurally.
And I'm cracking up because since we're recording this today and it will be airing after the panel tomorrow, my main point for the panel tomorrow is going to be on systems. And my example is going to be Kelly, which she
Oh
does not
dear.
know. So, those of
Surprise.
you watching the video, this is news to her. So, my example is going to be that I have systems in place to manage my tendency to squirrel because my role is to see the big picture. My role is to drive the mission of our company. And
Yep.
Kelly is the herder of cats at work training for a reason. Cats is plural only to be kind. It's cat, and the cat would be me. So,
Yeah.
systems in place means recognize what you actually have, recognize the gifts, the pros, the cons, and then set up systems to be able to let that be a flexible, dynamic space. You know, the I'm going to go back to my key point being forcing people into the role box is an old way of working. And
Yeah.
it was crap back then. Now, the role is the area you're aiming for, it's the target, but the people you bring into it determine what happens in that. So look
Yeah.
at your people in the context of their roles, not at the roles and, oh, by the way, this warm body happens to be in it, because that is broken, dead thinking.
No.
And that's my point for today. I
All
obviously
right.
have strong feelings about it.
Shocking.
Yeah. So everybody, please, in the chat and in comments and in DMs, let us know what is your thing that if you're not top level, what is the thing that is the little niggling thing that if the top level realized, like what is the food in the vending machine sucks issue? And for
Hmm.
top level folks, when is the last time you walked the walk? Like, when was the last time you put your boots on the floor of, the actual call center, or went out on the bus, or did the thing, or walked the floor for manufacturing? When was the last time you did that? Just think about it and toss a little note in because we want to know. Okay. Ongoing
Yeah.
mastery. That's what we're all about. And the reason, by the way, that we are doing ongoing mastery presenting and speaking is because we are coaches for that service. So, again, in the dynamic vein, if you need to bring in professionals, find professionals that are going to address the actual needs you have. Just a thought. And that's it for today. We'll talk to all of you later. Bye.
Cheers.